It's a top honor to have you on the show. Your score to Miami Vice is a massive, massive influence on myself and many of the musicians that I feature on the show. And your score that you created just lives among greatness in music history. I want to ask you, being that it's kind of relevant this week, coming from Minneapolis, and Prince's passing, do you have any type of reaction to that? I mean, did it impact you at all?
Yeah, I mean, it shook me up, and it made me, of course, very, very sad. I was definitely, touched and influenced and impressed and so on by everything that Prince did. And if I think about all the different contributions, with his songwriting, singing, guitar playing, I think the thing that I value probably the most is that there is black artists playing fantastic rock and roll, which is very rare if you think about it. And to lose him, it's really, it throws the balance even further off. I mean, as far as there is great R&B is okay, hip hop, fine, great. But I think when black musicians start playing rock and roll, it's incredibly special and different. And it's just essential to keep the music alive. And I just hope that people will pick up that banner and run with it, because it's just beautiful when they play that way.
Did you ever cross paths with Prince in the 80s at all? I know you've worked with many, many artists.
Yeah, no, he was sort of like a self-contained spaceship. So, you were either, invited in, or you were sort of just watching him from afar. And I was never actually, invited to his spaceship.
Amazingly well put. Amazingly well put.
I can dig tropical. This is out of bounds.
In Japan, where high technology is showcased, consumers stare in wonder at the latest facet of life overtaken by the computer age, the department store. But while the Cebu store is proud of its technology, it is worried that customers will feel it has lost the human touch. The human touch. It's lost the human touch.
What's up? This is Playmaker. Keep listening to Synthwaves Radio.
Hey guys, this is Sunglasses Kid here.
Hey, this is Joy Bishop, and you are listening to Synthwaves on KFAI 90.3 FM Minneapolis and 106.7 St. Paul. Radio without boundaries.
Wyatt Andrews has this report on the store's electronic workforce.
Hey everybody, this is LA Dreams. Synthwave starts right now on KFAI.
Welcome to Synthwaves, coming at you live from Minneapolis every Sunday night, 10:30 to midnight. I'm your host, Noah. If you're streaming us at kfai.org or on the dial, thanks for tuning in, no matter where you're listening from. Got a fantastic show this evening. The past 2 weeks have seen a massive amount of great music released, including some albums from Dream Fiend, Python Blue, Arcade High, and tons of singles in between as well, including some new stuff from Client Liaison, which I'm extremely excited about. Definitely going to play that here in a little bit for you. We kicked off the show with the extended dance version of Prince's 1984 I Would Die For You. And, that song for me, and this week, driving in, all the buildings, all the skyscrapers are lit up, glowing purple. If you're from Minneapolis, you know that we're in historical times here. I think that song that we introed with, it reminds us to enjoy life, as a party of many rhythms. But as Prince says, parties aren't meant to last. So there's no doubt, however, that his music is timeless and will inspire us for generations. But rest in peace to Prince. Jan Hammer did that very, very special forward you just heard. I recorded that earlier today via phone with him from his New York studio. His response just blew me away. I literally was sitting there in awe, and it just goes to show that how insightful he is as a producer. It's unbelievable. Got the full interview with Jan Hammer coming soon. Just want to do a little editing on that. Tonight on the show, we have special guests from San Diego, Syntax. We'll be talking about his new release, Transmissions, doing live shows, maybe a little Ulrich Schnaus in there, depending on how much time we have. Later, Wales-based synth-pop duo Paradise Walk will be on the show. These guys have so much character. I've been messaging them. It's going to be a fun show. I'm also going to ask them, what Prince meant to them as well. I think they have some interesting stories about that, as well as their latest collab with French musician Morgan Willis. By the way, Morgan Willis' track Ice Cream was the backing to that Jan Hammer intro. So, firstly, actually, I was going to say, we're going to kick this party off with something that is going to get you really excited for the upcoming week. Tomorrow morning, FM84, long-anticipated LP drops. The album is called Atlas, and this one here is called Don't Want to Change Your Mind off the album. It's got a really nice R&B edge to it. It features the vocals of Ollie Ride. It's an exclusive. Shout out to FM84 and props to Silent Gloves on another great job mastering this album. Thank you to you two for keeping great music alive. You're listening to Synthwaves. Glad to have you with us.
It's not too black of a feeling that my head's against the wall. Convince me that I'm dreaming, and you're waiting by the door. I know that I've been chasing my tail now. I've been dragging us both down to our knees. If you want to escape, just say now. You always know what was good for me. Don't want to change. I don't want to change your mind. Don't want to change. I don't want to change your mind. I'm not looking for an answer, just to gain a sense of this. Just let me loosen my head for a while, and I'll be whatever you insist. I know that I've been chasing my tail now. I've been dragging us both down to our knees. If you want to escape, just say now. You always know what was good for me. To change. I don't want to change your mind. Don't want to change. I
All right, I'm Syntax from San Diego. Hope you guys enjoy the show. It's going to be a magical night. Really appreciate you coming out.
And we are joined right now by very special guest San Diego producer James Mann, a.k.a. Syntax. Welcome to the show.
Hey, what's up, dude?
Did you hear that little intro of your live show there?
Yeah, that kind of caught me off guard a little bit. I was like, wow, dude, he totally pulled that.
He's going to have me interview myself.
Yeah, really?
So how you doing, man? We were kind of chatting off air there because, and we've been kind of messaging and whatnot over the past few days about the whole Prince passing thing. And I want to talk about your music, and I want to talk about transmissions, and maybe All Works Now so we can get there and some other stuff. But,
we get some All Work in, but, dude, Prince is number one right now. Absolutely.
I mean, it kind of was like his passing. I mean, where were you when you heard, and, I mean, how did it hit you, and what are your feelings? It's so fresh.
Yeah, it really is fresh. And first of all, I just want to say the energy of the show is amazing. I mean, that Prince intro was off the hook, and I love improvisational jamming more than anyone, and that was just mind-blowing. And then it had Jan Hammer, and, I got to say a little FM84, just a real treat of a beginner. But, I was actually in the newsroom when I first heard about it. For those who don't know, I work at a local newsroom as a cameraman, and I was completely shocked. I mean, it was like a stun feeling because I've listened to Prince my whole life. I've had the fortunate opportunity of seeing him live several times. And I was just in disbelief. And the surreal part of it is that it was actually the story that I got assigned to do. So within minutes, my reporter and I are like plucking video from the feeds and, crying fans. And it's like the first stuff that, is coming down from Minneapolis, as you know.
Right.
And so it's real. So I really had to like kick into gear and put this stuff together. And, it was just such a...
What was everybody else like? I mean, was everybody else... Was there shock all around, or...
I'll just tell you this. There were a couple fans in the newsroom. But I think I was like the go-to deferred guy to talk about, like, hey, what's this all about? Is this a good song?
Right.
I'm like, guys, really? It's Prince. It shocked me how many people didn't know the stuff, but then, like, as the day went on, it turned to, oh, he's saying that. Oh, he's saying that.
All right.
Like, guys,
right.
Yeah, dude, it's Prince. He sings freaking everything.
Yeah, I hear you.
So anyway, we like pulled our stuff together and made it work. But my personal experience about Prince, he was a legend, and I mean that sincerely because he was so prolific and talented on every instrument. And for those who don't really know his work, they may not realize that his albums are put together by him doing each instrument. And the guy had this remarkable ability to blend, everything from lounge to funk to jazz to soul to synth pop to new wave. And, the one thing I loved about Prince is he wasn't afraid to be himself. So if he wanted to wear something or, be a certain way, the guy was just, highly sexual and androgynous one day, and then the next day he could totally switch because he didn't really care what people thought.
Right.
And to me, as an artist and a person, that's extremely inspirational and inspiring because it allows you to say, like, hey, you don't need to fit the mold. And his music was just killer. I mean, when he performed live, I saw him in Inglewood for like a 2-night run. Can you believe he did 26 nights like in a row?
Jesus.
He's got that much material that I think people don't know about.
Right.
But at any rate, just when he was on the stage, I got a wave of chills. I was like, wow, this guy is the real deal. He doesn't care what people think.
Right.
He's got the talent to destroy any instrument. And he comes up with song compositions that were just, mind-blowing. So,
right.
Anyway, I mean, what was your take on it? I'm really curious to know what Minneapolis is like going through now because we were sort of chatting about that.
Yeah,
earlier.
I mean, like I said, I was driving in and every skyscraper is just blazing purple right now. It's very futuristic.
Wow.
It's almost like it's just jetting up to the sky, and
wow.
And that intro song, before the intro song, I kind of played this little clip from the 80s from an MTV news clip, and it's about Prince talking about basically his belief in God, and he thinks there's an afterworld. And I don't know if his views changed, as he aged and whatnot.
Sure.
But, I just felt like that was kind of relevant, and I almost could envision him playing that song wherever he is now, just jamming. It's not about any being one way or another, like you were saying. It's just about everybody and with all differences. And here's something really interesting about that, how you mentioned how he was just himself. Everybody that I've talked to that's gone downtown and has been involved in all the huge events. I mean, they had all-night dance parties in downtown Minneapolis. They say, everybody's one comment is, there are people from every walk of life you can think of down there.
That's so nice to hear.
You know what I mean? And if that's a legacy you leave, then I mean, I really don't think you couldn't achieve anything higher than that.
Oh, I agree. He was just like this enigma. There was something really appealing about him, and if you ever had a chance to listen to him in interviews, which I'm sure you have, and hopefully other people get to, there's just this like cadence about him. He's so calm and he's so chill.
Right.
And you just can tell he never gets overexcited. He never gets over animated. It's like, it's just crazy. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
He's just this unique, one-of-a-kind person. But then when he was on stage, he destroyed any instrument. And, I didn't even know this, but did you hear about the Eric Clapton exchange? I just finally read it. But, evidently, someone in an interview said, like, hey, what's it like to be the best guitar player in the world? And Eric Clapton says, I don't know. You got to ask Prince.
Well, I hadn't heard that. I hadn't heard
great.
that. I hadn't heard that. Wow, that's pretty cool.
That brought a smile to my face. So, the world is less.
It's changing. It's changing.
Here, but
and what I've been saying all week, what I've been saying all week is, with the loss of Bowie, with the loss of Prince, which is just naming a few. I mean, those are the biggest ones, of course. It's hard to see who's going to step in their shoes and fill and impact.
Oh, it's impossible.
You know what I'm saying? It's really taking something away. It's only just peeling off a layer there, and it might not grow back. But
it is. And one last thing I do want to mention about him, and you're right, it's irreplaceable, is that the variety of genres that he captures is astounding. I mean, from funk to rock to just like Lindrum, synthwave pop. The guy just like killed it all. And his ability to write songs is, I guess, what inspired and impressed me the most. And like I said, just being able to be inspired by someone who says, this is me, I'm comfortable in my skin, it says more than any music can make. It's like another layer of someone who is that inspirational. So for that, man, Prince, rest in peace. Everything's purple right now because everyone's thinking of you, and that's wonderful. You're telling me Minneapolis is paying those respects as well.
It's unbelievable here. It's really unbelievable. Well, I want to talk about another really exciting thing and a labor of love on your behalf, as you have just released an album recently on 30th Floor Records, and it's called Transmissions. And real briefly, people are kind of hearing in the background. It's really got a nice kind of electronic ambient aspect to it. But how would you describe, when people say, "Oh, you make music"? What kind of music? How do you describe that to people?
That's actually always been a little bit of a difficult question for me. But recently, someone who reviewed something kind of put it in a way that I sort of appreciated. He called it ambient synthwave, and I rolled with it because at first I sort of described, it's kind of ambient, cinematic, down tempo. And then the person who asks is just freaking confused.
Right.
It's like, what does that mean? It's a lot of genres sort of melded into one. But, I would say that's more appropriate because it's got that energy, I guess, and it's got some moods going on. So, whether you just want to sort of drift off or you want to, dance, hopefully, and coming through with some stuff that kind of covers bases in between. So when he said ambient synthwave, I was like, dude, I'm down.
Yeah, definitely.
I'll roll with it. What do you think, man?
Yeah, I mean, we've talked about the influences, and I see the connections there, and I think that you're inspired by certain sounds. What's the response been so far? I mean, since you released it, it's been about a month now or so.
It's been about a month. It's been pretty solid. With Island Universe, which was the last release, I kind of tried to step it up a notch with some more driving synths and a lot more like sonic kind of energy behind the tracks. And I just wanted to continue that journey with this, actually, because space has always been sort of my theme. I'm obsessed with things that we can't sort of touch and see here that are all around us. And I really get inspired by just space. I know it sounds kind of like
no,
cliche, but
because no, go ahead.
No, just being able to drift off. I'd love to hear what you have to say.
What I was going to say was that I glanced up and I noticed I've got your album, your Bandcamp page pulled up here. And, you know, if you look at, and I'm kind of also halfway in the Jan Hammer interview, I'm still, you know, it's been a hell of a, you know.
That is so amazing.
And, you know, he did a part of a series called Behind the Mind's Eye. And it was showcasing the early development of computer animation. And it was in the early 90s.
Wow.
And some of this stuff, I believe it's a 90-minute video that he soundtracked. And some of the clips from the video are from the movie The Lawnmower Man, which was kind of cutting edge at the time. If you remember that movie.
Totally. Oh,
yeah.
Access denied. Access
yes,
denied.
yes. Yeah.
Of course.
So, you know, and I could totally see your music soundtracking like a computer animated journey through, you know, through Stonehenge, through, you know, different, you know.
That's a sick analogy. I mean, I'll take that comp, dude.
Yeah.
But, you know, soundtracks have been huge for me. Like, Tangerine Dream and Vangelis and John Carpenter have been huge inspirations in me. I love that their music just fits in the background, but it also still has kind of a presence to it. You know, there's like an energy.
Right.
So you can enjoy what you're seeing, but there's also this like force of music behind. So I guess I just get inspired by that stuff. And you know, whether it's like soundtracky or spacey, I think it's important, I don't know, hopefully for a listener to sort of get lost in the music. Like for a moment, you almost kind of don't know where you are, or your mind takes you to, you know, another place that you can escape from your, whatever, daily grind or like your problems or whatever. So, you know, while that's sort of a goal that's kind of like hovering over me, I just sort of try and do what I enjoy.
Right.
And what sounds right to me. And with Transmissions, I just felt like I was able to, you know, secure maybe one or two collaborations that I really had wanted to do for the release and kind of tighten up some things and just, you know, introduce some new sounds too, because as you said, it's like a wide variety of genres in the album. So, you know, from like cinematic to almost drum and bass to early 90s stuff to retro sort of mid-80s. God, I mean, people have been telling me their opinions on it, and it really is interesting to sort of hear what they think. And obviously it's quite a few different sounds in there.
Right.
You know?
Right now I'm in the background. I'm playing the album Goodbye by Ulrich Schnauz, who you know, and we both referenced him as, I remember when we connected on that, and we were just like, yeah, I've thrown that name out even to FM84, you know, and it's like, he's like at the base, at some point he's been there influencing, you know, and his music for me, like early 2000s was just, you know, on repeat. The trains passing, dude. You know, trains passing by, Faraway Trains Passing By album was like.
I was just listening to that album yesterday, believe it or not. It was amazing because we first sort of introduced each other, and you said something like Ulrich Schnauz, and I immediately knew not only would we be friends, but I would immensely respect your taste in music, because that's the amazing thing about music. You know, it really transcends lots of things. The fact that you know about Ulrich tells me, you know, what kind of stuff you dig, but also that you dug into some more, I don't know, I wouldn't quite say obscure, but it's like a niche market that if you're into it, then already I'm your friend. And it's like that you like compare.
It's like, what's the path? What's the path that brought you here? You know, what's the path that brought you to the current music that you're listening to? And you're like, oh, you know, I love it. Yeah, I love this style or whatever. You know, there's one thing trying to, you know, force feed or force fit, and then there's another where it's just like, from just like, as I've said, gravitational pull, or as you know, as Mike Murphy said from The System last week, he said like a sound bank library, that we have this sound bank library somewhere locked away subliminally, you know, and that's kind of what drives the taste in music, you know.
Well, it's like an evolution, and you know, I know FM84, man, his stuff is incredible and highly emotional, so I want to give a shout out to him. But he like hosted Chicane a while back, and I was like, wow, man, this guy is into this good stuff from the late 90s, and there was this kind of electronic force, and I've always listened to bands like Aphex Twin and Underworld and Boards of Canada, and then I kind of dipped into like the Ulrich South stuff, and it opened me up to this whole nother world. So when you mentioned that, and I think you nailed it, it's like an evolution process that occurs over years.
Right.
So it's led like you and me to be, immensely interested in artists like that are doing the whole retro wave thing, which I freaking love. I'm listening to stuff on a regular basis. So it's really cool. It's like instant connection. So yeah, totally. When you said my track Longmore reminded you of Ulrich South, I felt like that was the ultimate, compliment.
Did you say Chicane?
Yeah.
I actually, I was like, Chicane. What do I got there? I've got a 2000 release, Behind the Sun.
Dude,
Saltwater. Have you?
Oh yeah. I mean, it's just. I knew that we, would be on the same page with that. It's just really great stuff. It's emotional and it's melodic and it's deep, but it also incorporates elements that are, more common too, like the beat and the I don't know, the song structuring. But they're very unique albums, and so that's really cool that you know about that stuff. Because let's face it, not everyone has gone that route, and sometimes I mention stuff like Ulrich, and they're like, "Oh, who's that?" And I would never knock them at all. I'm actually excited because I'm like, "Wow, here, let me send this link over to you and tell me what you think."
Right, exactly. If you like my music, you're going to absolutely love this. Well, I want to ask you something here because you've been doing some live shows lately. And all, in fact, not just locally, but out of state as well. Arizona, if I'm not mistaken.
At one point, yeah, that wasn't too long ago.
Yeah, and then you just recently did one. Was it in out in LA there? Or?
Yeah, oh man, it was an amazing.
Just this past weekend, right?
Dead. Yeah, it was just a couple days ago. It was.
You've had one hell of a weekend,
seriously
man.
Magical.
Yeah.
Oh, dude. Well, so the cool thing is that this scene is really growing. Like it's crazy. I've been involved for a few years writing for Syntax81, and that sort of got me, connected with Rick and Marco and all those guys, and just the solid people who are behind this whole kind of movement. And to see these artists going live is just incredible. So there is a movement happening all around the country and the world, I think. When I see people like Robert Parker doing live shows, I think that's fantastic. He just posted a picture the other day where I think he had like 1,000, 2,000 fans at his show.
Right. And for people that don't know, Robert Parker's the Swedish music. We had him on the show actually a few weeks back. Swedish.
Oh, you did?
Yeah, kind of a retro 80s musician, and he does some fantastic, kind of a mix of retro futuristic 80s and classical 80s style.
Nice.
And you mentioned Syntax81, which is a fantastic point of reference to get involved in the kind of retro synth scene.
Totally.
So, all right. So you do now when you do the live shows. I mean, what's the response? What's your hope for the crowd, and what actually happens?
So I love live music. I've gone to live shows my entire life, and I always need different sets. I used to follow some bands back in the day, like way back, and they'd always do different set lists every time. And I love that like spontaneous sort of energy. And so depending on the show, I'll just switch up the songs and introduce new ones. And it takes a lot of practice because I'm usually playing like one synth, nothing too ornate or complex, but it definitely takes practice. So it's kind of, I don't know, just based on the moods, but honestly, the places I've been playing here in San Diego are extremely low key. Not many people. It's just a chance for me to get out and play a set or two. And, this LA this past weekend, I wish you could have been there, Noah. I mean, it was like electric. There was about 200-300 people, and the energy was just incredible. And it really showed myself and the other artists that, hey, there are people out there that know about these bands. Like, it was crazy. After the show, a couple people came up to me, and this guy was like, "Hey, I came from Texas to see you." I was like, "Dude, do you have the right person?" It was kind of strange. And then this guy was like, "I came from Las Vegas to check you out." Anyway, it was just surreal.
Wow, from Las Vegas.
Me realize, like, wow, yeah.
Wow, I mean, it's not the longest drive, but it's still a pretty good drive, right?
Like 5 or 6 hours or something.
Wow, that's awesome. That's
But
awesome.
it's cool. It's all networked, and you're at the center of it with this amazing show too. So anyway, there's growth with it. Live performing is so liberating and fun. It's like something I didn't think I would do, but I've played drums my whole life. I've been in a ton of bands. I've done a ton of live shows. So why not just take it to the next step? And if I'm making this music, why not be able to take it out and share it with like people who just want to enjoy, a night.
Right. Absolutely. Well, I'm gonna get into this song. I want to thank you so much for coming on the show because it's been a long time coming. We've talked about you being on the show, but I want to get into the title track of your recent release, Transmissions. It features a collaboration with Star Force. Can you tell me a little bit about this track before we get into it?
Yeah, of course. So Kenny, Star Force, really great guy. I've always loved the music of Star Force. I started listening to him about 3 years ago, and we just became friends. And we just dug each other's stuff, and it was kind of surreal how it happened. But we talked about it, and we just said, "Hey, man, let's not do a track with percussion. Let's just try and see what we can come up with." So I sent him this bed that was totally inspired by Brian Eno. I was actually going to release it as a tribute song to Brian Eno, and Kimmy did his magic, and he sent it back, and I was just like, dude, I'm good with this. It's probably one of the more prouder pieces that I've been part of because I really think in the track you can hear both forces sort of come together. Oh, pun intended.
Yeah,
you could just hear that come together, and we didn't talk about length or restraint. We were just like, hey man, let's make a nice, fun cinematic track that built up, and I'm pretty proud of it. I think it definitely earned the spot of the title track. So
I agree 100%. Like I said the other day, I just had it on repeat. I was kind of just doing some different work for the show, and just as it's my favorite track off the album. I want to thank you very much for coming on the show here.
My pleasure, man. It was seriously an honor.
It really, man. It's been a long time coming. The latest release is on 30th Floor Records on Bandcamp. It's called Transmissions. It's by Syntax. It's been an honor having you on the show. Really nice talking to you and hearing about your influences. And stand by. We'll talk off air in just one sec here.
Perfect.
Bonjour Minneapolis, ici Morgan Willis, vous écoutez Synthwave sur 90.3 KFAID à Minneapolis et 106.7 FM Saint-Paul, radio sans frontières.